Hi friends, welcome back to Social Emotional Story Time. Today we are going to start out with another breathing technique, and this one's called Breathing Buddies. And so you'll need a special stuffed animal friend, maybe a teddy bear or a doll or something like that you really love. And then you're going to use this, you're going to lay down and you'll put your special friend on your belly. And then you're going to breathe in as deep as you can. And when you breathe in, remember your stomach goes out. So your friend that's on your stomach should rise up. And then when you breathe out, so you can breathe in for 4 seconds or so. And then when you breathe out, your stomach goes in, so your friend will fall a little bit. They'll come back down. So then at the end, you can ask your buddy to try it too. Try to ask them to breathe in and breathe out, and teach them the proper way to breathe in and out. And then you can repeat as many times as you need. And so this can help you to calm down, or maybe if you're trying to get to sleep, that can help you do that. So this is attached in the description of the video. There's a link, a PDF file for this. And then our topic today, the month of April is Autism Awareness Month, and maybe you know someone with autism. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about some of our friends with autism and some of the things they might like to do, or how they might interact differently with you. So we're going to read a book called Looking After Louie. And let's find out what Louie's all about. There's a new boy at school called Louie. Louie sits next to me and I look after him. He's not quite like the rest of us. Sometimes I wonder what he's thinking about. He often just sits and stares at the wall. If I ask him what he's looking at, he says, "Looking at," and keeps on looking. I show him my pictures and I say, "Try these crayons, Louie." He says, "Try these crayons, Louie." Then he draws very carefully, so I say, "That's good," but I don't know what his pictures are about. Em and I look after Louie at recess. He runs in and out of the boys' soccer game with his arms out like a ballet dancer. Em and I thought he was playing soccer at first, but he wasn't. He just likes running inside the game. The boys get mad, but Louie doesn't notice. Sometimes Miss Ely says, "No soccer allowed today," and the soccer players stand around and don't know what to do. Then boys and girls play together for a change. Last no soccer day, we let our friend Sam get on the big tire with us. He wobbled, but we didn't laugh. Louie was standing really still, just watching, so I called out, "Do you want to come on the tire, Louie?" Louie said, "Come on the tire, Louie," but he didn't move. Louie sometimes talks in the wrong place. Yesterday, Miss Ally said, "Sit up straight, everybody." Louie said, "Sit up straight, everybody." We all laughed because he sounded just like Miss Ally. She wasn't angry, though. Neither was Mrs. Kumar, who sits by Louie and helps him. They would have been angry if Em or Sam or I had done that. "Sit up straight, everybody," he says. At recess this morning, Sam was showing off with his new soccer ball. Mrs. Kumar said, "Sam has magic feet." Louie watched Sam's feet closely. Sam said, "Do you want to play a game, Louie?" Louie said, "Game, Louie." Sam dribbled the ball all around the playground and Louie ran after him. Sam passed the ball to Louie. Louie didn't get it, but Sam kept it going, and Louie chased it with his arms out. Other boys joined in. If Louie's foot even touched the ball, Sam shouted, "Great game, Louie." Louie almost smiled. Louie drew a picture all afternoon. Every time he used a different color, he said, "Great game." I said, "Show it to Miss Owley," and I took him to her desk. I said, "I think Louie's picture is about soccer." Miss Owley looked carefully. "Let's ask the expert," she said. So I got Sam. Sam looked at Louie's picture. Then he said, "That's the game. That's you. That's me. That's the ball." "That's the ball," Louie said. Just then the sun shone in. It shone through the classroom window. Sam said, "Can Louie and I go outside and practice soccer again, Miss Owley?" Miss Owley's eyes crinkled up. She said, "Would you like to play soccer, Louie?" Mrs. Kumar started to take off her apron and put on her coat. I think she knew what Louie would say. "Play soccer, Louie," said Louie. Miss Owley smiled at Mrs. Kumar. "How did we guess?" she said. Sam and Louie whooshed out of our classroom like water down a drain. Mrs. Kumar followed them. She had a ball in her pocket already. You never let us play outside when it's not recess, I said. Miss Ally was smiling, but I wasn't, not even a little bit. I put my hands on my hips. Sam and Louie are lucky ducks today, Miss Ally, I said. Miss Ally's eyes twinkled, and she got dimples in both cheeks. So they are, she whispered. What do you think about it? She looked at me as if she expected my answer to be very wise. So I thought extra hard before I whispered back, I think we're allowed to break rules for special people. Miss Ally put her finger to her lips and nodded a tiny little nod that nobody saw but me. We peeped through the classroom window at Sam and Louie's great game, and I felt special too. So let's read a little bit about the end here. And so it says Louie, the main character in the story, he has autism. And so he's in the same class as all of his friends, and he just communicates a little bit differently. So he might repeat things that the teacher says, but it's okay because he just has a different way. That's the whole idea, is that he has a different way of communicating. But we're all different in lots of different ways. And so here we have a little puzzle here about supporting our friends with autism. And so you might notice some things that are a little bit different. If you have a friend with autism, they might interact differently with you. And so you might have to interact differently with them in a way that works for both of you. So the first little puzzle piece says, give them space when they feel overwhelmed. Sometimes lots of noises and too many things happening around someone with autism can really make them feel overwhelmed. And it might even make you feel super overwhelmed too. But sometimes people with autism might need to wear headphones so that they can block out some of the noises and they can feel safe and not as overwhelmed. And so if you see that, then you would just think they are just feeling overwhelmed and they need to kind of block out some of these noises. And that's fine. We just let them do what they need to do, because sometimes we have to do things for ourselves that we need to do to help ourselves feel better. Like maybe you're feeling really stressed and you're taking deep breaths and nobody even notices, but you're doing what you need to do to care for yourself. And so if you see a friend with autism that's overwhelmed, we probably wouldn't want to go up to them and start touching them and saying it's okay. We kind of want to give them some space if that's what they need, so that we don't overwhelm them anymore. Ask them to play with you, but respect their choice if they say no. So in the book, they asked Louie to play with them, but if he had said no, maybe he didn't want to, then we wouldn't want to force Louie to play. You wouldn't want to do that with anyone, right? Learn about their interests. She said she didn't quite understand Louie's pictures, but he draws in a different way that makes sense to him, that might not look like something that would make sense to you, but he was drawing what he saw and what he was feeling. And so learning about those things, just like you would anyone, any friends in your classroom, learning about what they like to do, their drawings might not make sense to you either, because it's all coming from the individual. Embrace each other's strengths and differences. So notice the differences between you and your friends, all friends, but those with your friends with autism, you can notice the differences that you two have, and then try to recognize the strengths that you both have. What makes them different, but also what makes them strong. Louie was really good at playing soccer, and he really liked playing soccer. So maybe you don't really like soccer, but you are really good at dancing. So that's something that is different about you, but that makes you both strong in your own ways. Talk to each other in a way that works for both of you. So Louie talked a little bit differently, where he repeated things that his teacher said or that his friend said. So that's a little bit different than what you might hear another friend say. But, or you might see a friend with autism that communicates using an iPad, and they kind of touch some of the words that they need to say, and then they can communicate that back to you. So you have to just adapt your understanding and talk to them in a way that makes sense for both of you. So if they need to use the iPad, then let them do that to communicate with you, and then you communicate in a way back to them that makes sense for them too. Help others remember to be kind to everyone. Sometimes we forget to be kind to others. If we have a friend that's different than we are, we forget that it's okay to be different and that we're all different. And so sometimes when we forget that, we might laugh at someone for being different, or we might make fun of them, or think that something they did was strange or something, and talk about them. But that's not something that is very kind. And so we have to remember to be kind and accept everybody's differences, because we're all different. And if you see someone that forgets to be kind, they're maybe laughing at anyone, then you can give them a nice reminder to say, hey, that's not very nice to laugh at this person. They're really good at this, and I really like this about that person, or something like that. Ask your friend if it's okay before you touch them. Sometimes friends with autism, and lots of friends, like, I don't really like to be touched without, suddenly or something like that, without being asked first, or and it might be a little bit hard for someone with autism to recognize when someone's about to touch them. They might not be able to pick up on that cue that someone's about to touch them, so it might be startling. And so I know sometimes if you aren't ready to be touched, maybe you get a little bit frightened. And so it's always good to just kind of prepare that friend and say, is it okay if I hug you? And if they say no, then you respect their choice and you say, okay. And then you, just like you would anyone, you should always ask a friend before you touch them, because that might make them uncomfortable. So you want to make sure that that's okay. And then finally, like I've said, understand that autism is different for everyone. So one friend with autism might be communicating with an iPad, while another friend is talking like Louis does, and he just repeats things and he communicates in that way. Or, there's just lots of different actions and behaviors that you might see from different friends with autism. And there's, just like we all communicate differently. Some of us are more quiet, some of us are really loud, some of us talk a lot, some of us don't talk so much, we're a little bit more shy. So everybody's different, and it's okay to be different, and it's good because we can learn from each other. And so it's just important to understand that we're all different, and autism can be different for everyone. So it's always important to remember to be kind to everyone. But particularly this month, since it's Autism Awareness Month, I thought that it would be good to kind of highlight some of those ideas about how we can be supportive to our friends with autism who might need to interact differently than our other friends. So I hope you enjoyed that story, and I will see you next time.